took one in the Christian Pulisic's,
Gabi anytime assist. It's currently at plus 250. I think he's going to. Hello, everybody. Welcome to TFD Talks Footy. Welcome, Mr. Mills. How are you?
I'm good. How's it going, Mr. Rahul?
Doing great, doing great. And joining from Canada, Vancouver, and a former soccer athlete. He calls it UFM, but I don't know what the M stands for. Let's ask him that. Dr. Grewal, how are you doing? What does UFM stand for in your world?
I'm doing great, but U of M up here is University of Manitoba, which is basically
Oh,
the Canada's Minnesota.
okay. Well,
Ooh,
UFM around the world is University of Michigan, and then it's University of Minnesota. And we'll put Manitoba there just for
But
you.
Matt, right there, another U of M.
Sweet. Well, great news, guys. USA made it to the knockout phases. Amazing game against Iran. Oh my God, what a game! We almost blew it to the end, but it was awesome. It was great game. Dr. Grewal, your initial thoughts on the game? You were probably busy, but were you able to check out like the replay? What were your initial thoughts of the game?
Well, on the West Coast, the nice thing was the second half was over my lunch break, so
Oh,
I
perfect.
missed the goal unfortunately by Pulisic and missed the entire first half. But I thought they were a composed team, like based on the situation at 1-0. I don't think they really gave Iran much. I know that they were clamoring for a penalty and whatever that was, the 98th.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? For the most part, I think they did a great job holding on to that lead, and they're going to be a tough out for whoever faces them next.
That is, yeah. I think they're playing Netherlands on Saturday,
yep.
so it's going to be amazing. Rick, thoughts on USA making it to the knockout phase? I am super pumped, dude. Oh my God.
Wow, I'm very excited, especially because we finally got some continuity. We finally got the final service in the final third. We finally got some goal that we found that was missing. We only had scored two goals this entire thing. We got the one that we only had sitting at three, but we got the one that meant it. Our defense was good. The good change to bring in Cameron Carter Vicker, someone who's better on the ball, and his service was good. And I really, of course, the engine room of the team, the MMA, Musa, McKinney, and Adams,
Yep.
they make this team go. And this really gutted about the two costly injuries that happened.
Yeah. So, talking about some injuries, before that, I have to show my Christian Pulisic autograph ball
Nice.
here. So I'm super
Oh,
excited
nice.
about that. He scored. I got to meet him like 2 years back. So that's a different story. We talk about it later. So Dr. Grewal, like a lot of injuries. Let's start with Christian Pulisic. Looks like he got hit in you know what. So any thoughts on his injuries?
Yeah, I mean, he took one in the Christian Pulisic's. So it obviously doesn't feel nice. It sounds like the latest diagnosis after going to the hospital is that it's like a pelvic bone contusion, which is a fancy medical term for bruise.
Okay.
So I don't think it's going to be any sort of issue going into the round of 16 match this weekend. And maybe a little bit of pain. Maybe he's
Hmm.
not there in training, or maybe there's parts of training he's out, or whatever. We see him getting more attention from the therapist and the medical team, but for the most part, not of any concern. I would expect him to be the same Christian Pulisic on the weekend.
But they call it day to day. Is that like concerning, or is it like more of like a medical safety term?
No, it's not even a medical term. It's a sports med. It's a
Sports term.
professional sports media term where they're just saying like, yeah, he's kind of day to day because they can't say he's 100%, but they're also like he's most likely going to play. So we haven't figured out another one. And people always need timelines. You can't say mild. They're like, what does mild mean? Like, does that mean he can play? Like the game's on the
Uh-huh.
weekend, so they like to say day to day. I don't know what's less than that. Like you could say maybe should be good by the weekend, but they
Yeah.
never want to put their foot in their mouth. So.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, you
true.
don't want to be
Uh
too definitive when you're talking about
Mm,
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Now they hedge their bets. Day to day could be 6 months. Still day to day.
uh
Must be today.
talking about the next the other injury happened today, Sergeant. Rick, can you give us an update on what the reports were, and then we can ask Grewal for his analysis.
Yeah, I saw the match, and when he was on a breakaway, and someone slid in to tackle him, and when he jumped up to Josh Sargent jumped up to avoid the tackle, but when he came down, his leg like fully hyperextended like this. It was like straight up. So when that happens, they're saying it is either a right knee or a right ankle injury pretty much. And like, but the way that it looks, 9 times out of 10, I'd say it's a right knee injury. So it's a right knee or ankle injury, but it looked pretty significant. So, like, his status for Netherlands on Saturday is really up in the air.
Thoughts, Dr. Grewal?
I think I'm more pessimistic. I mean, looking
Okay.
at it, I think it's knee, and I think there's a lot of hyperextension plus some stress on the outside of the knee. So that brings in like the PCL, that brings in the LCL, and then there's something
Hmm.
called your posterior lateral corner. Just imagine if the knee was a circle, it's in the back and to the outside of the knee.
Hmm.
Some stress there. So lots of ligaments in that area, and obviously depending on the grade of injury, that helps determine the timeline. But I think he could also have a bone bruise tossed in there. And usually these aren't like the milder injuries. So I think you're kind of pushing into grade 2, and then you're kind of looking at multiple weeks. And so it might be a situation with the final on December 18th that even if the Americans go on a miracle run,
Hmm.
I don't think he would be fit to play. But best case scenario is that it's like a lower grade injury,
Hmm.
and maybe the ligaments are spared, and it's more the pain of the bone bruise, and he plays like Giannis in the NBA Finals.
Hmm.
And so
Mm.
maybe he's there's a possibility, but I would say odds are he's not fit for the rest of the
Dang,
tournament.
that's a pretty big bummer.
Mm.
And we have
Yeah,
no depth at center. We have no depth at center forward because we only bought three. We only bought
yeah,
Sargent, Fadetta, and we bought Haji Wright. And Haji Wright came in for there. And
yeah,
we have no. Now we only have two. Where are the
Well, you
goals
can
with
always give
everybody?
a little bit of a false nine, right? Like
yeah. We can,
that's
yeah.
that's the
They
thing.
they might put Pulisic or Gio Reyna. Like they might kind
Yep.
of play around with that. I think we'll be fine. I think Netherlands is kind of beatable. I'm not super optimistic, but let's hope for the best. So
Watch out for this young buck Cody Gakpo.
Mm.
He
okay,
has scored
yep.
3 goals in 3 matches, and also Frankie De Jong, who plays in the Premier League.
Yep,
They got the 2 goals for Netherlands today, which may help them qualify.
yep.
That young buck is a
I thought
stud.
Frankie plays for Barcelona.
Yeah, no, he's got
He plays for
Barca.
Barcelona.
Yeah, he
Barcelona.
plays for Barcelona.
Barcelona.
So Dr. Grewal, the other big injury, Neymar. I know he's out for the group stages. There was like initial reports, then we got a final confirmation. Can you give us an update on Neymar and his future in this World Cup?
Yeah, so I mean, initially everyone could sort of see it's your classic lateral ankle sprain. We've all rolled our ankle before. It was all swollen up, and then we got the diagnosis that he was out for the group stage. That is a little vague still because it's like, is it really like severe? And are you just saying, okay, for sure, group stage, but we want him for a round of 16 match, which because Brazil is like a lower group, will be one of the last round of 16 matches. Like they buy a day or two. I was a bit more pessimistic as well when I saw that report. I do wonder if he's going to be fit for the round of 16. I think the quarterfinal might be a bit more of a reasonable time frame. The tough part is like you need arguably in soccer, you need your ankle more than other sports, right? One, you don't get high tops, so you don't get anything around there. Maybe you could try to toss a brace in there, but you need all that mobility, right?
Yep.
People who know me, I do a lot of hockey stuff, like ankle sprains, like they can just tie their boot up. There's not much ankle mobility in skating compared to soccer, where you think about receivers in football, you think about basketball players cutting and weaving. So I'm a bit pessimistic about the round of 16 for Neymar. I think he'll be back at some point in this tournament because I think Brazil goes on a run, but I don't know about round of 16 for him.
Got it. So talking about ankles, Harry Kane had like a scare like early this tournament. He played against US, and after the US game, like people said like he had a swollen ankle. Looks like he played again today because we were watching the US game and couldn't watch the England game. They won 3-0. Harry Kane, is it like more of like game time? Like I don't know. Is it going to be like a weekly situation for him, or how do they treat these kind of ankle injuries?
It's tough to know because there was actually like video. I think it was Gareth Southgate saying that it's his foot and not his ankle. So
Yeah,
we
that's
don't even know what the diagnosis is now. Purely from a video standpoint, it looks like a high ankle or that medial ankle sprain, which
yeah.
is lot worse than what Neymar is going through. Obviously, it's lower grade because he's playing through it. So it's hard to gauge. I don't think Harry Kane's 100%. And I think if England goes on a run like they did in 2018 and we all start here and it's coming home, playing everywhere, I still think even if they're on that type of a run, he's not going to be 100%. And it wouldn't surprise me that once the tournament's over, he misses a few games for Tottenham.
Probably, yeah.
So I think that Harry Kane, as much as he's playing, is probably playing at less than 100% and will be for the remainder of the tournament.
Spoiler alert, it's not coming home. So England can cool it down. Oh my God.
Exactly.
It's just overrated team in my opinion. But of course, they're the Premier League, right? So they get all the kudos. Talking about the other English player, Kyle Walker. I know he played today, but he's dealing with like a continuous groin injury. Is that like manageable throughout this World Cup, or is it more of like something to be concerned about?
I wish I'd had a chance because I never checked in on the England game either. It would have been good to see how he was doing out there. I have no idea if he played the full 90 or kind of where he's at with that. I think that's going to be something that's probably lingering a little bit too. He obviously came into this tournament not fit, and then now he's probably had an accelerated rehab to try to get him out there. So, you've got a Kyle Walker who, one, is at a high re-injury risk because he's gone from not playing to now playing in World Cup matches, and then two, probably at less than 100%. Because he wants to play in these massive games. So, it's win or go home now for the rest of the tournament for those teams. And so if he's playing, he's probably playing at less than 100%. And if he's not playing, that means he's like in really bad shape and arguably re-injured.
Yeah, he was struggling.
Yeah.
He was struggling out there. I wouldn't be surprised if he had an adductor, if it was an adductor or something that he had messed up.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe England looks at not playing when they're round to 16 too. They made some lineup changes today because they were quite comfortable, right? And so now they're going to be making some changes because who knows if Foden is starting and things like that, right? So and Rashford obviously had a wonder goal, so it's like, do they?
They had a brace. He had a brace. That was awesome.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see.
Foden in was smart as well too.
Tough decisions. They're going to spend a lot of time here, not just tactically thinking about their lineup, but also from a fitness standpoint with both Walker and Kane.
Yeah. So talking about Mexico. So Mexico has like an outside chance to get in. They play Saudi Arabia tomorrow. They have like a pair of injuries. I think kind of like their top players are Raul Jimenez.
Yes, and Andres Guardado.
Yep. So thoughts on their injuries, Dr. Grewal?
Well, so I don't know. I'm actually going to be honest with you. I'm not entirely sure. I know that Guardado was available, I believe, during the entire open portion of practice to media, which is only like 15 minutes. It's not much. So and then just put him out there for that and then told him to go inside, right? It's hard to gauge. They're going to be all hands on deck, right? Mexico is obviously very unhappy with how their campaign has gone. They've yet to score a goal in the tournament. And so I think both of those guys will feature at some point. Can we determine how many minutes? Not really. I think it's probably tough for either to put in a full 90, but I think we will be reaching on that because not only will they need to find a result, they also might need to find extra goals. Because hypothetically in their group, if Argentina beats Poland, Argentina takes first with 6 points. Poland's at 4. So Mexico's also fighting to get to 4. And then it's goal difference at that point, right? And so these are two guys who contribute offensively. So I think they're going to be trying to find a way. They'll be named in the, we used to say 18. Obviously, it's a bit more than the 18. But they'll be available. And it wouldn't surprise me if they come on as subs if they're not starting.
Yep. That makes sense. Again, like you mentioned, it's all hands on deck or all legs on deck.
Yeah.
So they have to do it. So another injury, which is kind of like before that, Dr. Grewal, if Mexico makes it to the knockout stages, is Canada the only North American team who gets knocked out in the first round?
Costa Rica. Hey,
fired. Oh,
we will have to start watching hockey again together. That's how it'll be. Yeah, no, it's sad. It's sad. I think Belgium was really a missed opportunity. I think people looked at them as the number 2 team in the world, but when Morocco showed that Belgium weren't much of a squad, so to not get a point there is tough.
I think the coach got a little cocky and said he's going to F up Belgium. Come on now. Like, that's like poking the bear.
F Croatia. Remember F Croatia?
Yeah.
I know. You know what? First World Cup in like 36 years. A lot of
That
learning lessons for
yes.
2026 going on right now.
Plus, you guys won
Lot
the
of learning.
CONCACAF
Yeah.
champions. Let's go.
Yes.
You
I
need,
know, I
yeah.
know, it's a bit embarrassing, but one small thing to add in here: Canada could have got into pot three for qualifying if they'd won their last game, even though it was meaningless in qualification. If they had won that game, they get
Yes.
into pot three
Agreed.
and not in pot four, and maybe you get a better draw because of that, right?
100%.
Definitely.
100%.
And they didn't care. They probably partied a lot after qualifying, and then moved down to, I can't remember who they were playing that day, Jamaica, someone else who was already eliminated
Yeah.
and lost. And so I do think they regret that.
Talking about Qatar. So Qatar is hosting this World Cup. Everyone knows that. A lot of heat. I was in the Middle East for 2 years. Even if in the evening time it's kind of like pretty hot. Is that the heat causing more? I don't know, injuries. Is it kind of related? Thoughts on the overall conditions in Qatar and its effect on player injuries, because everyone's like laying down, like everyone's gassed out after the game.
Mm,
Like I
mhm.
watch a lot of soccer, like they run, but
Yeah.
EPL, La Liga, they're still walking and hugging. But here you see like people are just laying in the
Oh,
back, like just they want to just
water,
cracked out.
water.
Yeah. Thoughts on
Yeah.
that, Dr. Grewal?
I mean, I'm a bit shocked by that too, and I think a bigger factor than the heat of Qatar is the condensed schedule. Actually, from COVID, like most leagues restarted, I don't know, July or June or something of
Mhm.
2020. They had to finish off that season that was paused. They had to roll into the next season. They had to roll into the Euros. Then they had to roll into this season, which was condensed because they all had to shut down for a month for the World Cup. So I think it's more the load that these players have taken on, because all of these guys are not only playing most of the games for their club team, they also play internationally. So they play in the Euros or they play in the
Mhm.
Copa America. And there was a Gold Cup. I can't speak to Asia and Africa. I'm not sure about their continental championships, but I know there's been a Gold Cup, Copa America, and Euros in this COVID window before World Cup. And then they're playing for their club teams. And now they're rolling into this, plus all the qualification. Like, these guys have played
Yeah.
so many games. And all these clubs, they didn't skip any of their tours to USA for preseason matches either. Like, these
Yep.
guys have
They
played
did
so many
that.
games, and I just
Mhm.
think they're wearing down.
Okay.
And so I think that's a bigger factor, because like the 2014 World Cup was in the summer of Brazil. It's probably
Good
just
point.
as hot there in July as it is in Qatar in December. Because I do look on my phone during the matches, right?
Yep.
Like I was watching the Portugal match, and it was 22 degrees Celsius. I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm sorry, Americans. Celsius, I don't know, maybe 80 Fahrenheit at kickoff.
Maybe.
Like, that's normal playable weather, right? That's what we
Yeah.
all play in the summer. So I don't think that is much of a factor, the heat per se, versus the condensed schedule and the
Okay.
minutes these guys have already taken on.
Yep.
Mhm.
That we by the way, that's really awesome points. We missed one injury, Romelu Lukaku. So he came up, played the second game. He missed the first game. Mills, do you have any update on his injury? Like, did he play the full game? What happened with Romelu Lukaku?
Romelu Lukaku, he actually missed the first two matches in group stages for Belgium. He did play the third one. He came on as a sub because he was dealing with a hamstring strain, and like he was effective, but there really wasn't that much service. I mean, De Bruyne was trying to get him the ball in the box so that they could score, so they can score and do something. But he was okay, but like yeah, he was, as you can tell, he wasn't really like fit. He had just returned to training that week, and it was not it, and he just didn't look like himself,
Okay.
and like. And anyway, and like he's having a hard time with his club team too. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
not a good time for him.
And he
And
was
go yeah,
coming off on a hamstring, right?
yeah, hamstring strain. He had a
Okay.
hamstring strain. Yes.
Okay. And is that like, so Dr. Grewal, like hamstrings? Like I know a lot of players kind of like soccer. It's more important. It's a probably more concerning injury. How do they like handle hamstrings? Like especially in a short window of World Cups.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. There's always going to be like an initial period of rest after the injury, I think, to get recovered, and then you're going to go from there to just get regain strength, right? And if you have sometimes there's a little bit of shortening, so you got to get the range of motion back. But the big thing is like strengthening exercises, and then just building up, ramping up properly. So you get them walking. Walking's fine. Okay, let's jog. Okay, jogging's fine.
Mhm.
Okay, let's sprint. And then once they're sprinting, they're pretty much ready to go, right?
Mhm.
So it's being able to do all that pain free, not feel tight, get good recovery afterwards.
Okay.
So is
Perfect.
it like a 2 to 3 week ramp up period or something less than that?
Well, I mean, again, it depends on the severity of the injury.
Yes,
I would say there's some guys who get these hamstring strains and turn it around in a week, right? If they're in a league and there's no midweek game, sometimes they're limited in training, and then you can get them going, and then you get them out there. They might not feel great when they're out there, but they can contribute, and maybe they put in a half or 60 minutes, and then
Mhm.
obviously with more severe ones, it's longer, and then I think it was Harry Kane and other guys like they've taken the whole tendon, ripped it right off the bone. So those guys go surgery first, right? So then you
Okay.
got your
yeah.
surgical wound recovery, etc., before they can wrap up. And those guys are, they're the 3, 4, 5 month timeline.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's all our awesome injury updates. Let's get into some predictions. We have some amazing. This World Cup's is filled with upsets, and I feel like there's a lot of parity in this World Cup, and it's amazing. It's like watching March Madness. It's awesome. So let's talk about some of the important games coming up, and I want your prediction as well. Of course, let's start with a match which is kind of insignificant, but I like it for betting purposes. Morocco play Canada. Just kidding. So I personally feel Canada is going to win this game. I think Canada is going to win 1-0. Their odds to win is like plus 250. I think it's kind of like you mentioned, Dr. Grewal, Canada lost the last qualifying match when no one expected them to lose, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think Canada's going to win. Thoughts on your team?
I don't have faith in them. I think there's gonna be a few guys who haven't featured who will probably get some minutes. And there's some guys like Estaquio's not healthy. So and Morocco's got a ton to play for, right? They've got
Yep.
3 points in this group. They're trying to qualify.
Yep.
So I know I think Morocco like 2-1, maybe even 3-1.
Okay. Mills, your prediction for Canada
I
Morocco?
I looked at this one and I did look at the betting odds. I am siding with Dr. Grewal. I see Morocco they have the fire, they have the fight, they have a lot. I mean a very good, a very tight, compact defensive shape when they transition from offense to defense. I love their attacking pieces. So I give it I'm not going as high as Dr. Grewal is. I would say a late goal and Morocco beats Canada 1-0.
Okay. Well, I like two props in the Canada game. One is, of course, Canada winning plus 250, and anytime goal scorer Alfonso Davis. He's
Ooh.
been kind of like a wounded animal. Like people are just trashing him. He's not had a great World Cup. I think he's like a really good player. He's going to score this game. So that's another prop to look out for plus 440. Next game we want to talk about the same group, Belgium, Croatia. Like Morocco, Belgium, and Croatia. All three have a chance to go. Thoughts on that, Mills? Let's start with you. A quick prediction about Belgium and Croatia.
Belgium said Belgium takes it. They have too much. They have too much firepower. Romelu Lukaku will get back in there. They'll also bring in that other buck who's been filling in for him, Asha Buati, and also
Uh-huh.
Kevin De Bruyne. He still pulls the strings in the midfield. I love what they're doing defensively and in the midfield. Belgium 2-0.
Okay. Dr. Grewal?
Opposite Croatia 2-0. Belgium's got all this
Whoa.
infighting. De Bruyne says we're too old. Vertonghen says I guess we're too old to attack. There's all these rumors that people don't get along with each other. I think it just absolutely implodes. This golden generation for Belgium unfortunately never won anything, and they're gonna
Mhm.
have a sad finish. And so I think Morocco wins, Croatia wins, Belgium's out.
They
I
got one.
agree
They
with
got one last ride in them. One more ride in them.
Uh, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think they can take the track to another round. I think Belgium's gonna
Oh man.
lose. Croatia is gonna win 1-0 against Belgium. That's my prediction. The next game. Oh my God, this group is another crazy group. Like Spain, Germany, Japan, and Costa Rica. All four teams have chance to go to the next round. It's amazing. So the first game in their group is Spain and Japan. Dr. Kewal, your thoughts, predictions on that game?
I don't have the best read on the Japanese team. I don't know what they really are, especially because I also watched them lose to Canada in the pre-tournament game.
Yep.
But I do see a good Spain side. I know that some of the numbers afterwards show that Germany had a bit of an edge this past weekend in their game, but I liked how Spain plays. I think they're doing a lot of good stuff moving forward. I think Spain probably pulls one out, probably close game, maybe 1-0, 2-1. But I don't think it'll be a blowout or anything. I do
Okay.
respect Japan.
Okay. I'm gonna take your prediction as 2-1.
Okay.
Mills, your thoughts?
That upset loss to Costa Rica was absolutely no one saw that coming. That was the Japanese arrogance because they thought they could just run it. They could just run the score up on Costa Rica, but no, they showed them that. So I think they get back organized. They get back in. But Wataru Endo has a right knee injury, so he may not play in this game. But Spain is going to take it to him. Watch said I like what the Fati. I like the young buck Fati that they have in there. Watch him.
Yep.
And I think Spain is just they're going to be moving the ball. They're going to be pushing them around the park the entire time. Spain 3, Japan 0.
Yep, I think Spain's going to win 3-1 as well. And I like another prop in this game. Gavi anytime assist. It's currently at plus 250. I think he has to like
take that bet. Put money on that.
I like him a lot. I know like him and Pedri are kind of this twin out there, but I like Gavi more than Pedri. The last game we want to this is another good game. Germany, Costa Rica. Like I know Costa Rica is not this big game, but they did upset Japan. And if Costa Rica get a draw against Germany somehow and Spain wins, Costa Rica goes to the next round. That is so it is. Oh my God, I can't even wait to watch that game. So Dr. Grewal, your thoughts?
Teams, baby.
I love Keylor Navas. I really do.
I know.
Keylor Navas. But I think the Germans pull this one out too. I think it'll be scrappy affair, like 1-0. It might be even a really boring game, but yeah, I think the Germans find a way to get one, and I think Costa Rica's not going to have much going forward.
Milt?
The Germans have been very disappointing this far in the tournament. They said they know what they're fighting for. They're going like, okay, we're not going to beat Japan. We are going to they're not going to bunker, but I expect them to maybe come out a little bit more defensive than they do. Maybe counterattack with Rudiger's up top. But ever since Tico Werner got hurt and he didn't come to the thing, their attack has essentially evaporated. So, but I still have Germany pulling it out 1-0.
I think Germany is going to open up against Costa Rica. I think they're going to win 3-0. I think Germany is going to be back. Germany, they have a great philosophy. I don't know. There's like even multiple books about their soccer philosophy. It's they have a great team.
Yeah, DOS reboot.
Yep, DOS reboot. There you go.
Their abject failure was in the 2000s. They came back with that 10-year plan, and then they won the World Cup in 2010. Yeah.
Yep.
14.
14. There you go.
Yeah.
Another prop I like is the Argentina-Poland game. So the over 2.5 goals.
That's a joke.
Has a prop of 112. I think Argentina itself is going to score 3 goals. So I like that prop. So everyone should take that prop. So any final thoughts, Dr. Grewal, for the next couple of days before we record our next show? I think it's going to be an awesome couple of days, especially every team like fighting each other to get into the knockout stages.
Well, yeah, we were talking that before these last matches start, before match day 3 in every group, there's only 3 teams through, right? France, Brazil, Portugal. So there's 13 spots. I mean, there's been a few games now, obviously, but 13 spots that were up for grabs. I think it's going to be some great footy. Obviously we have an injury angle from our page. I do think if anyone gets hurt in these next few games, you have to think they're out for the round of 16. Okay. That's the big thing to worry about, or playing at less than 100% in the round of 16. That's just like a general overarching thing. Obviously, we'll get into the specifics on our channel with specific videos for players, but that's just a general thing as we sort of get closer to the most meaningful games.
Yep. Mills, final thoughts?
Come on. It's November. It's not March. This is supposed to be all nice and tidy. You're supposed to know who's going what. But I love the parody, like you said, the parody in this. Everybody has a chance. Everybody has come playing the best soccer of their thing. Some teams is not, but I'm telling you, this round of 16 is going to be bananas. Whoever comes out, and I am really excited for it. And Senegal.
I know. That's awesome. Multiple African teams.
No African team got out of the group stage in 2018. So glad that we have finally had an African team come out.
I think like if Morocco goes in, that'll be like multiple African flavors.
That'll be a second one. We'll probably have more. It was great.
Well, and you know what? Like this is the first Asian World Cup since I guess you could say 2002. So I know Asia is going to be trying to get a team in there. Iran is out, Qatar is out, but there's Saudi Arabia, there's Korea, there's Japan. So maybe an Asian team can creep in there as well, right?
Yeah,
definitely.
We'll see. Maybe it's a true World Cup. Thank you again, everyone, for joining. You can follow us on all social media platforms at the Fantasy Doctors. This is a new channel. We just started this TFT Doctors specifically for soccer. So we're going to eventually touch upon every league and every soccer throughout the year. Dr. Grewal is going to be our lead doctor out here. He's amazing. He's played soccer. He's a soccer athlete. So like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in a couple of days. Have a wonderful week, everybody.